Hey YouTubers, it's been a while since I've actually done a video on here. I'm just taking a walk in downtown San Jose. I had to pick up a package from Amazon and stuff. And I just wanted to give you an idea just how muggy it is. I'm not even close to where the fires are at right now. I'm in downtown San Jose. Just take a look at just how muggy that is. That's the visibility right now. It's about maybe 50, 60 feet in front of me. And I'm a terrible judge of distance, but that still looks pretty bad. But I just wanted to give you an idea of where I'm at and what I'm up to. But I just had to mention the campfire. I think it's about 30 to 40% contained at this point, but it's completely demolished Paradise. A lot of my friends live in Paradise. I know they're safe, but still, seeing all those pictures and just hearing all those things about that whole town was literally demolished within 2 or 3 days. It was just 90% to 100% demolished within the first couple days, and it was really, really quick. But that's what's going on at the moment. Concerning the podcast, the next episode is going to be out on the 8th. On Podbean and on a number of other Podbean subscription thingamajiggers. I'll be putting up the new episodes on Patreon as well. And there's a couple of new things that are coming to the podcast, which I'm kind of excited about. I do have a YouTube channel, as you guys know, because you're watching this right now. But I haven't really done a lot with it. I've kind of put a few episodes on here to single pictures and things of that nature, but I haven't really done much with it. But that's going to be changing soon. There's a couple different changes to the podcast. If you listened to last episode, I kind of talked about this, but the one big thing is the format of the show is going to be changing a little bit. Because up until now, I'm going up a hill and air quality is not that great, so I'm kind of heavy breathing here. And this isn't just me being completely and utterly, totally out of shape here, which I am, but I've already walked about 2 miles at this point and I'm about a mile from home, so sorry as I'm breathing somewhat heavy as I'm going up this little hill. But what's going to be changing, what has changed for the podcast is, generally speaking, what I would do is I would collect submissions from all you guys and then transform them into a podcast for you guys to listen to, alongside all the other content that I have on the podcast as well. That's going to be somewhat changing. If anybody has heard of Blog Talk Radio, I actually have a channel there too as well, which I once again haven't been doing much with because it just didn't quite fit with the format of the show, the way they had things put together. No more hill. Thank God. Thank God. But anyway, what I'm going to be doing from now on is about a half an hour before the show starts, or before the show is uploaded to Podbean, and then is aggregated to the other places, I will having a bit of a pre-show where me and my partner Vernon will be discussing our plans for that particular holiday. This last time we were discussing Samhain and our plans for Samhain and our past experiences with Samhain and our beliefs about that time of year. And it was a really nice discussion between me and my partner. But it's also on live broadcast. It's also someplace you can call into. So we wanted, and we tried to get to people to come on the show and actually talk with us about what their plans were and what their beliefs about that particular time of year were. And that is basically going to be the pre-show. And what's going to happen on the show is, rather than collecting submissions from people, which turns out was a lot more work than I really have the energy for in a given time. And despite the fact I've picked up and got a whole bunch of submissions that I absolutely loved, and I love talking to people or getting people to talk to me about those types of things, the submission section is going to be replaced by a recording of a piece or a what we had this time around on Samhain was actually, I was at 8 Winds this last year, and I had the privilege of hearing 2 bards from ADF around the campfire getting to sell their craft. One of which was G.R. Grove, who I've got a couple of her books of both poetry and storytelling. And it was a great thing to have. And I had a couple of her performances recorded with her permission, and I was able to reproduce them and put them on the show for you guys during the Samhain broadcast. Alright, where are we? Nope, we still got a long ways to go. Yeah, haven't walked this long in a long time. But anyway, I had that privilege, I got it recorded, and that was what you had for the pre-recorded section of the podcast. And that is generally what is going to happen from now on. That one section is going to be pre-recorded, either classes or discussions or performances by ADF artists, bards and druids, and several people who aren't from ADF who I've gained permission to put their performances on the show. But that's pretty much what that section is going to be out from now on. If you want to participate with the podcast, the pre-show is probably where you want to go at that point for the discussion and things of that nature. Everything else is going to be staying the same, pretty much. But going back to the usage of the YouTube channel, as any listeners will know, I've got lots of recipes that I put in the podcast, and I have a YouTube channel and the ability to cook, so I was just thinking about maybe putting those two pieces together, taking the recipes that I get for the podcast and actually making them, and posting the videos of me making them and maybe succeeding on the YouTube channel. So that's pretty much what my plans are for that. Those are pretty much the only updates at this point. The next episode should be up on Podbean around 8:30, 9 o'clock, December 8th, if you want to just download it there at the usual places. The website for the podcast is, of course, kth.podbean.com, and that's a general place you should be able to find it there first. And we are also on Podbean. We are on Podbean, but we're also on Patreon. Just look up Kindling the Hearthfire podcast on Patreon and you should get our page. And we are also on iTunes. If you look up, once again, Kindling the Hearthfire podcast on iTunes. But I will warn you, on iTunes, they've been a little slow updating all the episodes, just to give you a heads up. But yeah, that's pretty much the updates I wanted to give you guys. I wanted just to let you know I am not dead. I am actually alive. Earrings look really nice. Just saying. Anyway, but just wanted to give you a heads up. A shout out to everybody that actually subscribes to the Patreon. I love you to pieces, and I know I haven't been giving you too much extra extra content, but I'm glad you're still there and willing to support the podcast despite all my feelings as a podcast host. But yeah, shout out to all my 2 Patreon subscribers. If you want to subscribe for Patreon, there's a number of different levels. The first level, you basically get a shout out on the show. And then the next one up is a $5 level, which basically you get a shout out and anything else I can figure out for that level is pretty much non sequitur, but pretty much you get a shout out and a chance to appear on the show. If you want to take me up on that, just give me an email. But I'm still working on it, don't worry about it. But thank you guys for listening. I've been rambling for 10 minutes now, so I'll get off here so you can stop not throwing anything at me. But yeah, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and please subscribe, and all the links will be in the can't say show notes, but in the comments below, in the description below, there will be links to the site, iTunes, and Podbean, and Patreon, and all that good stuff. So thank you guys for listening. Have a great day. Stay safe, and we always pray by a good fire. Later.